Hey everyone. Today we talk about how Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. This is the Thought Arcade.
Welcome back to the Thought Arcade with your hosts, Elijah, Chris, and Daniel. We are reviewing this crazy documentary on Netflix. I thought it was like an hour long. I thought y'all were like telling me to watch this like hour long document. It's like 4 hours. It's like 4 episodes.
4 episodes.
That was
It
true.
was. I thought. I mean, I liked it. It was good.
It's
Yeah,
like
no.
a mini series, which is like the trend nowadays.
But the thing
Yeah.
is the way they broke it down, I feel like was a lot more productive than doing the 1 hour documentary too, because there was just so much more information that they did add in.
Yeah.
I still felt like they left some stuff off even within the 4 hours.
My thing is, so they structured it. They structured it in a way that there's timelines and there's multiple timelines,
Right.
of not just Epstein and what he's doing, but of the victims and like the law enforcement and stuff like that. And so it switches back and forth. And when I watched it with Val, like we got a little confused about the timelines.
Yeah.
And keeping track of that. But
that's what I was gonna say. Is so many time jumps in the series. It's just like from the 90s, and they even go back to like 60s and stuff, like when he was coming up, and then
you have to like really be paying attention to like watching this. And we're talking about, by the way, just wanted to make this clear. We're talking about the one on Netflix, because I know there's another documentary that dropped on like TV. I don't know on what station, but we're talking about the one that was released on Netflix, the 4-part series on Netflix.
Yeah, this one was called Filthy Rich, I believe, on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was, like, I mean, I kind of had an idea of what happened and stuff, but oh my gosh, dude, like this is.
Well, we've
so triggered, dude. I was triggered.
Yeah, we've mentioned this before, but since you were like the latest one to watch the series, what did you think? Like overall, like from beginning to end, like break it down. What was going through your head?
I mean, I was like, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, like just garbage, like garbage human, right? Yeah. But he's just garbage. But also, I was like, dude, how many people do I have to count that are also like not doing anything about it, Like how many people are just letting this stuff happen? I was like so mad. I was like, all right, these employees that are working with them, like cleaners or people that take care of his house or something, like they're just like letting it slide, and they're like, oh, they go on camera, oh yeah, I saw stuff happen, and man, I didn't tell anybody though. And I'm just like, dude, like that, like it wasn't just him, it was like this whole choreographed thing. Like all these people were involved in some way, like by not talking. Even like some of these women were like bringing more, or these girls were bringing more girls that they knew to him. And I'm like, if you just had a traumatic experience, why would you? I don't know, dude. I'm ticked off at this thing.
That's okay. That's actually a great place to start this whole conversation.
Yeah,
is they don't really necessarily, and that's why I was saying, like, I feel like they were missing some stuff out, is they don't really go into, they call the employees in like episode 1 and they first talk to them, but they don't necessarily go into like the breakdown of why they didn't say anything or push that a little bit further. And I think that's also the biggest underlining issue, is that there was all this going on and no one said anything.
The only employee that I remember is when he's on his little island.
Yes.
And
he like saw Bill Clinton and stuff.
Yeah, he was the like electronics infrastructure guy or something like that. Like he put up cell towers and was in charge of the servers and stuff. And all he basically says is, I think I remember seeing Prince Andrew of the UK with some girl, and then I think I remember seeing Bill Clinton, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Bill Clinton's on this island. The guy I'm working for must be really cool." And that's the only thing that he says. He says that like he didn't see anything. He
says he saw the prince,
yeah,
with a girl that was topless. and he knew. And later on, they say like he didn't recognize a picture of her when she was older, but he recognized the picture of her and the prince together, and he was like, "Yeah, that was the girl that was like grinding up." He was grinding up on this girl at the island. And he also said Bill Clinton was there too. Like he noticed Bill Clinton was there at one point. But that's a great example. He was like, yeah, I saw all this stuff happen. I was just, a cell tower worker and stuff. But and he's like, I'm like, dude, okay, well then why didn't you say anything for one? And then he's like, okay, there was one day where he was talking, I guess, to another employee, and he was like, I guess they were conversating about family or something. And he's like, yeah, I have like a 13 and a 15-year-old. And the guy asked him, would you let your daughters come to the island? And he's like, absolutely not. And then he quits that day, and I'm like, okay, you quit that day, but like, well, are you going to say anything? Like, you're not preventing your daughters from going there if you don't freaking say anything, like, dude, I was so mad.
And to go off of that a little bit, and one of the workers that they had called had said, look, I don't want to get involved because of the fact that he was afraid to get sued.
Yeah,
which to me kind of shows how dumb powerful these people, these celebrities or rich people can be. Like how ridiculously powerful, and when they shouldn't be. Like because if you go into the documentary, you continue watching, you see Jeffrey Epstein's like how he comes about doing everything he does, like being successful. And it's all based on his manipulation of the game, of people. Like that is what he does, is he manipulates
like
people.
A charismatic guy that just makes his way through. And I mean, he ended up stealing like a bunch of money and handling money for people. And
like that was my thing. I think what I was in it for most was just to learn about Epstein's backstory. Like, it was a sort of thing where like all of these people were hanging out with him, like all these top people. Nobody, quote unquote, knew where he came from, but there were several people that knew who he was and what he was doing. And it kind of goes into that, but to me, it didn't go far enough. Like it spends, I think, episode 3 is where they explain his backstory. And basically, he's just a con man.
Yeah.
And he lied his way into like some sort of teaching job at some like prestigious university.
Which I don't even know how that happened. He had no credentials. He had nothing. I think he failed out of college or something.
Yeah. He failed out of college, yeah.
Right after that goes into a teaching job, which is absolutely blasphemous to me that he's able to do that. Like this one, it does show he was a little maybe assertive, charismatic, it does show his personality. But also, how weak was it for that dean or whoever, the principal or whatever, to just allow him to come in with no proven experience? Nothing.
Yeah.
I guess he forged it, or he lied about it.
Yeah, he forged saying that he had the degree, but he ends up getting caught, and he was like, I lied, and and they just kept him on, and then they bring him on, and that's when he goes into the stock market, and that's where he basically cons like another partner out of like billions because they're running a Ponzi scheme, and the guy they're interviewing is like, yeah, we were doing some illegal stuff, like some shady illegal stuff, and if I reported him, we both go to jail.
Yeah.
And so Epstein just backstabbed him and then took all the money. And that's like where he got his money.
Yeah, there was that portion. And then there was like another employer that he worked with where they set up that Ponzi scheme and things like that. And that guy was really like he felt guilty for giving.
He gave him a second chance because he was selling stocks or something, right?
Yeah, like there's like a few different people in play there, and the one I'm talking about is the one that I guess is in the latter episodes. He talks about how he's a little bit guilty for setting up this scheme with him, and I think ultimately he was charged and he like pleaded or whatever, but he didn't get Epstein involved like with it. So Epstein didn't get any sort of negative repercussions or anything.
Yeah.
But I understand how he should feel guilty for that. The first one though, but like the guy who overlooked his false education and things like that, and he kind of felt a little guilty about it. I kind of questioned that one. I was like, I don't really like, he knows who Epstein is now type of thing. And he was like, like if I knew who he was going to be, I wouldn't have given him that second chance. But I was like, like I don't really think that guy in particular should feel guilty. Like, I don't think you need to get a college education to be like super successful or whatever like that. Plenty of people have done that before. If he was good at his job, then, keep him at his job. If he was, I mean, it didn't say that he was committing those acts already, like early on like that.
Yeah. It did not state that. Yeah.
Like, I understand, like if he he built his little empire from that starting point. Sure, why not? But you give people the opportunity to be better people. It just because you gave them a little like stepping stone in their life doesn't necessarily mean it's like on you. Like the other guy, I would say, but that first off dude, I was like, I don't think that dude should feel guilty about it.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't think it necessarily should be put on him. My whole thing was more so that like he could have at least checked. He could have at least checked where the credentials were coming from, like kind of proven some facts. And I guess, since he did forge the documents to like show that he was a college graduate, that may have been a little bit more difficult to prove or disprove. But the second guy was who he was working with, like the stock brokerage or whatever. Yeah. It was his boss, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah, I believe so. They were some sort of like partners at like a stock firm or something.
Yeah. So the thing with those big like stock firms is most of the time the higher up the higher up you get, the more important you are, but the least amount of work you do, because then you start delegating everything. And I think that's where it became the issue, is that with Jeffrey Epstein, he relied so much on him, because I'm pretty sure Jeffrey Epstein was also a smart guy. Like, I don't want to put that past him either. I mean,
yeah, they said he was pulling some sort of manipulative stuff, like illegal stock exchange and things like that, like stuff that not everybody would be able to get away with. So, I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, it's all shady. It's all shady, how he came up, fine, whatever. But ultimately, it gave him this power and these, I guess, resources to commit things that just, I mean, make your money, do what you got to do. I think everyone in the world should have like the most amount of money they can make type of thing, But then whenever you start abusing that and abusing resources to commit kind of the stuff that he's committing on, man, I don't know. That's where it's wrong. That's where it's definitely wrong to be, in that much power.
What I didn't realize is how much he really had in terms of wealth.
Yeah, man.
He had like a penthouse in Paris. He has that little island in the Caribbean.
It's like 7-story, like one of the more expensive real estate things in New York.
In New York, yeah. And then he's got something in New Mexico, like some ranch.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all over the place.
Crazy. And it's the crazy thing for me is like is how connected he really was to people. Mm-hmm. Like whenever Gershwin Maxwell got arrested and they finally put up her files and stuff like that, and like the flight logs to the island, like how many people were on that thing. And there's an argument that like some people were there like to actually meet with Epstein to do business and stuff like that and then leave. But like the vast majority of them were there to commit heinous crimes.
Yep.
Like Kevin Spacey was on there, which doesn't surprise me now.
Not in the slightest.
And
real quick to go off that list, this is more for our viewers. The Will Smith that is on that list is not Will Smith Fresh Prince. It is the comedian from, I think, England or something. So stop coming at Will Smith for that, because he did nothing wrong. He is the king.
Are people really coming after Will Smith?
Yeah, that? Dude. I was on Twitter the other day, and people were like, and even on TikTok, people were just like, people were mentioning the whole Jada thing that happened and said, y'all are on Will's side, but remember, he was on Epstein's island. It's like, no, he wasn't. Check your stuff. But I just wanted to say that real quick. Will Smith.
These flight blogs,
like a common name, guys. Let's be honest.
They're super common.
Yeah.
And these flight logs, they're like 200 pages of names.
Yeah.
And they go back to the 90s. And there's another additional 2,000 pages worth of information. And about who went where, about like what girl goes where, about who was like the girl's handler. And that's another thing that Dano brought up was, to me, that was what I was questioning, because they interview, I think, 2 girl like recruiters, I guess. And one of them was like, yeah, I was a victim and I brought all these girls to Epstein, but what about me? And you're definitely a victim. Like, you are 100%. But then you go off and you start recruiting other girls for something that you just went through for like $200 or
real quick, to go off of her a little bit. Now, I do come up with a little bit more understanding for her, just because of the fact that she did have, a rough living. Like her mom or one of her parents was on drugs. She wasn't living in the best environment at all. She had the other parent was abusive. And they didn't have much money. So she, of course, at that point went into her flight or fight mode and did what she could to get the money. Now, I'm not saying what she did was good. It wasn't good at all. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But, she's also still coming off of this whole mentality to where I need to do something or else I could potentially lose it all.
Yeah. And that was the thing, too, is that Epstein, Epstein was a smart guy. Yeah. Like, I think that he was. And he knew, what girls to prey on, and he would do he lived especially in a house in Palm Beach where they make, I guess, most of the series around is the Palm Beach house,
right
right across from there is definitely like a lower standard of living. I wouldn't quite say like a ghetto, but it's lower income for sure.
I mean, if you're comparing it to across the street, like they said, or across the bridge, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so they're he knows that's a resource for these girls that he can exploit, and then how he creates and builds that inner circle. They don't explain that much, how Gershwin Maxwell fits in the picture. I wish they went into more of his inner circle and his ring. But I guess all of that stuff is still under trial or under investigation or something like that. So I guess that's why they didn't break that down too much.
No, I think that's a great point, guys. They did make it known that these women were, I mean, they didn't have the best upbringing. They already have gone through some trauma, or they're in a circumstance where, kind of desperate measures, and they have big dreams, but how are they going to make it happen type thing. The very, very vulnerable girls at this point.
Exactly.
And I mean, I don't know why the parent, where are the parents at this point? That's what I was thinking. Why are you letting your kid go with this random, he's saying I can make everything happen for you and all that stuff, but why would you just trust that outright type of thing? I think,
well, for some of them, there were no parents in the picture,
and that's very true.
And for some others, they were lying, saying that they were hanging out with their friends, that they didn't tell them that they were going over to the big penthouse or whatever. They said they're going out because her girlfriends or whatever, ordered a taxi, they're going to go to the mall.
Well,
so there were those things.
The first set of girls, their parents, I think, were involved. So with one of them, they met at an art show. She sold them art. Then that girl introduced Epstein to her younger sister, and her younger sister was working on some school stuff or academic stuff. And Epstein had offered her a quote unquote, job opportunity or internship opportunity. Mm-hmm. And she told her mom, and her mom was fine with it and let it happen, or not. I don't want to say let it happen, but like let her go on this, what they were told, internship type of program. And I think what that kind of stems from is that, and this is what I say, like some of these guys are just dumb powerful. Like there's no point in giving them power. Is that the moment that they saw that it was this rich man who's willing to pay for her travel, pay for any kind of opportunity she have, offer her so much money, place to stay, like everything is taken care of, and she'll get job experience or any type of life experience, the parent is going to be happy about it. And again, Epstein is like manipulative. He's manipulative. He's smart. He has a way with words. He's a wordsmith. He's a smooth guy when it comes to words. So obviously when talking with those parents, he knows what to say. Like he knows what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a parent or anything, but I would just be like, why? Like, why are you giving me all these opportunities? You know what I'm saying? Like, I not that I would be ungrateful for it, but like, that's fishy, dude. That's just straight fishy. Whenever y'all are talking about these women that end up saying, like, one of these girls said they brought like 24 girls.
Yeah.
Another one said maybe like 40 to 60 girls. And I'm just like, you like, they just got done explaining how traumatic of an experience it was, but why are you bringing 20 something or to 40 to 60 something girls there to have the exact same experience? Like that pissed me off, dude. That pissed me off.
Like I think that goes to him taking their vulnerability, like putting them in a vulnerable spot, and then capitalizing and manipulating it further. So, it can. I think that it went two ways, and it doesn't quite explain in the series, but I do think that he definitely used threatening tones and violence to keep these girls in line, as well as pulling their strings for, hey, if you do this, like I'll pay for you to go travel Europe. And for a couple of the girls, like he actually did do that.
That's where I was kind of like iffy, because most of the girls that, I mean, he didn't like actually silence girls, like he didn't take it to the farthest level and like completely like kill them off so that they couldn't say anything about it. He bribed them and told them, okay, like, well, can we do this and that? And then, it seems like all of these victims were like, okay, at one point I said, no, or even just the first time, like stuff happened and they were like, okay, no, I'm never coming back. And like that, I guess it's weird because it's like of course, Jeffrey Epstein should have put any of these people in a position. He's absolute garbage, but these people, I want to grant them, obviously I have some sympathy for them, but I have to grant them that, they made their own choices too. And that some of them were like, absolutely not, like, I'm out of here. And, we can get into, some of the things that happen later on, stuff just doesn't work out sometimes when reporting it to police and things like that. But they did make that decision to just like up and leave, like, all right, that's not going to happen. But then there are the other ones that make a conscious decision. I'm like, okay, you are like, I'm going to blame you for that. Like, whatever happened to you is absolutely horrible, but there are certain decisions that you made that you don't, it's not saying that you were forced to make. Like you have every opportunity to step away from that situation. At least I feel like.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from. And to go back off of what Elijah was saying is that I do feel like, and they don't mention it as much, but I do feel like those girls that did end up recruiting, I would argue that they could have been threatened, physically and mentally threatened. Because
I wouldn't say that because they didn't say it on air.
The thing is though,
but they didn't say it though. That's what I'm
saying.
But
the thing is with Epstein is on episode 1, the news reporter that was originally telling the story, like Epstein had met with her and threatened her. Like it said it did say. So that's where I'm like,
and then he also, whenever one of the first girls reports it to the West Palm Beach Police Department, the detective working on the case, Epstein threatens the detective because Epstein was making $100,000 donations and buying equipment for the police force. And the detective's like, well, I'm going to pursue it anyways. And the guy's like, no, he's making all of these donations and doing all the stuff for us. We can't do that. And Epstein straight up tells him that he owns the West Palm Beach Police Department.
Yeah. No, I mean, he definitely made like some threatening gestures and things like that. It's just when it comes to the women, I mean, he raped some of them, like obviously, but when it comes to like them getting out of a situation to bring 20, 40, 60 women, I mean, it didn't say that it's like they complied kind of thing, but they didn't say that they were under threat of like death or anything like that to comply. They were just, I mean, this was just my way of life now, and I get $200 and whatever.
I think it's more so we're not necessarily saying that like they were threatened. We're saying we would not put it past him to have threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the fact that he
I don't want to speculate that he did. I don't.
Because you're right. They did have that option to do or do not. It was two choices. Some chose to recruit, some chose not to. But at the same time, what his mentality is like, I wouldn't put it past him if he did, threaten to come at like children.
Plus,
based off of past behavior.
Another thing too is once the girls started recruiting and they moved up on like this circle of people, like he didn't abuse them as much either.
Right. Whenever they got to a certain
like they're skirting Maxwell, but then there were like these 3 other girls. And the only reason why they moved up and up and up is because they wanted to escape the abuse. Yeah. And they did that by throwing other girls at him, basically.
Yeah, I definitely so where I'm coming from is that I definitely don't put it past him. I totally agree with that. You're right. On the other hand, I do want to say that there's a point where I have to hold these people accountable too, though.
Which victims, I think I know
like in me personally, I have to there are certain actions that they made, and this goes all the way around, like these employees. Like there was that one, or he owned he had a part of the private airport there. How many of those dudes like just close their eye or turn the cheek, just let all this stuff happen? We don't know who any of those people are. It was that one girl. It's like she went through the whole experience, and then she introduced her sister to him, and I'm like, dude, why would you introduce your sister to him? And then they ended up abusing your sister and stuff. I'm like, dude, like I have to be like, obviously absolutely horrible human, but man, these people made some horrible decisions too, man.
Yeah. And I know they're trying to come after a couple of the girls that like the top recruiting girls. Yeah. I know that they're going after them. But like for like the one victim that I wish I would remember her name, but the one that the one that recruited 40 to 60 girls and like loved horseback riding and all that stuff. Like, I guess it's a perilous. I wouldn't say perilous. What am I looking for? What's the word? I don't know. A word. Insert.
A word.
To where, she's a victim and she should deserve some justice, but then she was a big recruiter.
Oh, like a paradox or like a weird conundrum or something.
Yeah, like, a conundrum. Thing. Like where does that get placed? And they kind of play off of that toward the very end of the documentary series in episode 4, where like it protected the list of victims because they're under 18, but she was over 18, so she got put through the ringer with the media and stuff like that. The first time Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. And it's like I have no idea what to do in that sort of situation. And I don't know how a judge or a DA would pursue that, And I do like that it kind of leaves, I wouldn't say it's like a moral debate, but it's definitely a conundrum, a pickle, if you will, about what we should be doing with these victims in particular.
Yeah, that's rough. Like I can't imagine, all of them said that, their life was basically over. Like they
and I wouldn't
different person before then. And then life just completely changed. And that's absolutely horrible. They definitely shouldn't have been in that position. But that's kind of what I learned about the documentary, or the thought I had about the documentary was that, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, garbage, you garbage. My name's Jeff.
Garbage.
But like, how many people were allowing it to, like, it wasn't just, it was a group effort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, that's like the big thing. And that's like where I delve into, and like, it was a group effort between a lot of people, like a lot of people.
And like, just even the people that didn't even like, that were just, they just turned the cheek, that didn't say anything like that. That's compliance in all this.
And the further issue that I have is that so many of these celebrities that are, coming forth for like the Me Too movement and things like that. Like, this is something they're going so hard in the paint for, but why not keep the same energy when it comes to this type of thing and like have your own voice here as well? Why not bring it up as well? Like, I completely support the Me Too movement. Like, so if this has happened to you, speak up by all means, but it's almost coming to where, like, sometimes, and I'm talking more for like famous people, is that they are so opinionated about one thing, but when something comes up, when it's like a fellow celebrity, regardless of if they know him or not, they kind of just like turn a blind eye, or turn into Homer Simpson, where he just
goes into
the bushes.
Stuff, dude. No,
like,
you're exactly right,
it's like it makes them seem like they're like fake woke.
Well, it brings up that movement, and they talk about Harvey Weinstein's case. And how
I think he was on the island.
As soon as charges were brought up against him, like, everyone immediately distanced themselves, even though he was like the biggest producer in Hollywood. And it's I think it should be treated differently with people of positions of power and wealth like Hollywood.
Yeah,
because it's I mean, they're the ones that we give authority to, in a sense, like on a societal sense, not like on an actual sense,
I wish that Me Too started away from Hollywood, like it started organically somewhere else, because it was like, okay, you guys are going to lecture us about what's right in regards to this. Meanwhile, how many of y'all were just turning the cheek when Harvey Weinstein was doing this to how many girls?
And not only that, but there was the I guess this is going to be some more speculation on my part, but the Nickelodeon producer that produced all those shows like iCarly and all that stuff, the guy who does the casting for all that, like, he's been rumored for years about how, like, he would, like, I mean, Justin Bieber was one of them. The blonde girl from iCarly was one of them. And a bunch of other people came out, like
Miranda Cosgrove, like all of the Nickelodeon stars, and he films them all weird and like with feet and stuff. Like,
exactly, he has like a weird foot fetish, and it's like this unkept secret, and no one says anything about that. But I think, but he took himself out of the picture as soon as like outside media was reporting on this stuff. Like, it wasn't just like an inside thing. Like, people were bringing attention to him, like, hey, what you're doing is kind of weird. And like, parents were like, hey, why did you make my kid, undress like this and run around? Like, why couldn't I be there for the audition?
Dude.
It's real. It's creepy.
Yeah, dude.
But
I think
nothing gets brought to that.
No, you're exactly right, dude. And that's weird, because I had just like stumbled upon that yesterday before I watched this, and I was just like, dang, that looks real creepy, dude. Like, that is so weird that you said that. I think Hollywood creates it like is creating the standard, and I don't think that's right, because a lot of things with Hollywood is a double standard. Just like Chris was saying, I completely agree with that, bro. Like, I think that, and you've seen it with the Me Too thing. I think the Me Too thing's great. Like, me organically watching this thing, I was like, dude, why isn't anybody talking about this? Like, why aren't people trying to get this freaking squashed? Like, what is wrong with people? Like, don't let more people get abused. Let's do something about it. And I think
another thing too is, especially when it involves, again, like, it's a recurring theme on the show that we talk about, where we idolize certain people and then we just blindly defend them, which I remember when Kevin Spacey's accusers first came out, everyone kind of came up to Kevin Spacey's defense. And then they were like, oh, actually, he did do this. And then, I think it was like 3 victims came up, and then they were like, okay, that's 3. Like, that's it's not just a one-time thing; it's a pattern.
No,
and then people started siding with the victims, and then Kevin Spacey killed all of them. But that's a different podcast.
Okay,
right though. Like, they were setting the standard, and that's why I don't like that they started this movement thing. I think that they were like, okay, like this is happening. Okay, believe the victim always. And then they were like, okay, well, maybe y'all are accusing this person that I like, so no, we should have a probable cause or how you look into it before you you accuse people or whatever. And then it was like back and forth, and it was just like, no, you guys are creating 2 separate standards, and y'all aren't following it.
It's kind of like The Crucible. If y'all remember that play about the McCarthy trials in the 50s, it's like that, but in reverse. To me.
Okay, that's
to where
that's the history.
I've never seen it.
What, y'all didn't read in high school? Okay, and so it's basically people start accusing people, and then they accuse one too many people, and they're like, all right, you're doing this, you're doing this just to do it, but it's like this, but it's in reverse, almost. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to accuse somebody, but then we're not going to think about it, but then 2 more get accused, 3 more get accused. Like, oh, maybe that this is a problem.
Like, look into it. Like, treat it as a credible allegation. Yeah. Look into it. Do all that you can about it, and treat it with it's innocent until proven guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our justice system. That's how everything works. Not he did it, like, for sure. Like, one person said it, I believe him, type of thing. I don't believe in that. I think justice system is set up that way. It innocent until proven guilty. And in these cases where you're right, one after the other, and it all adds up, you're like, hey, dude, I mean, there's something that has to be done about that.
You got caught.
You got caught.
Like, there's no other way to say it.
My thing too is so a couple years ago, and it's still kind of fresh, is the University of Baylor.
Yes,
it's Baylor University. My bad. Their football program had a systematic abuse of women, and as they investigated, it turns out that a couple of these girls were faking it. Like they faked the allegations. They just did it because they didn't want to hang out with them or something like that. But the majority of them were real, and the Baylor coaching staff with I can't remember anybody's names.
All good, bro.
It's Art something.
Jane Doe.
Yeah.
Art Bill or something like that. Art Biles? I don't know.
Oh yeah, Art Biles. There we go. It's Art Biles.
Good job, bro.
Him and his coaching staff would go over to the campus police and then to the Waco police saying, "Don't report these things. They're just crying wolf." But the vast majority of them were true. Like they had a systematic cover up of football players abusing not just females visiting the campus or whatever, but like fellow female athletes as well, like in their workout sessions and in their locker rooms and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And for 2 years it was reported. They didn't do anything.
Yeah. And to speak on what you said, Elijah, about like the false reporting thing, that's garbage, bro. Like if you're gonna try to ruin someone's life on a false thing, like, that's horrible. That's where it gets weird, because some of these are legitimate and some of these aren't. It's like,
like to me, like that's worse. It's worse in my eyes that you're making these other victims less credible.
Exactly, bro.
The thing is like there are some cases that I've heard where women have called false. There's a football player who's going to go pro who had this false claim.
Yeah, Sean Okafor.
Yes, that he raped her, but then it all was proven that it was false, and his career was ruined.
Yeah. Obviously, he was on millions of dollars. Like he was going to be a first round draft pick.
Yeah,
and he was. I won't lie, he was a shady dude. But the evidence that was brought forth was all circumstantial. There's no physical. And it proved and then she eventually came out and was like, yeah, okay, I lied. And ruined this guy's career. Like, he doesn't have a career anymore.
There are those situations, and I think it's crazy how I don't want to say more. It's completely crazy how some of those are coming up as well, that like it just seems like, and this goes on both ends too, like guys and girls are everybody is given this platform to where they can openly speak on things regardless of if they are true or not. And that is the whole social media that we live in as well, is that someone could tweet something and it could be completely fake. But since there's so many people on Twitter that see it, people are going to be like, trolls. Anybody's going to be like, oh, it's real. It's not real, whatever the case. And now all of a sudden you're making this an actual thing. But now where it comes to like where for the most part, a majority of these cases are actually true, is it's crazy that people of power, again, this goes back to like, we're giving, as a society, there are certain people we give way too much power to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For instance, the Baylor coach.
Yeah.
There was no reason why. Yeah. There's no reason why he should have been given so much power to where he could have just gone to the Waco Police Department and say, don't worry about this. You know what I mean? Like, there is no reason he should have that power to where he could just easily walk up and say that. Like,
yeah.
And I do not understand why, as a society, we don't see that sometimes, is that we give these people the power to do, like, everybody loves football. Everybody loves college football. Elijah, you love college football. Like, everybody is a huge fan of college football. And these coaches are feeding off that hype, feeding off that excitement, feeding off that popularity. And now all of a sudden, some of these guys may feel untouchable.
Yeah. And for Epstein, that's what happens whenever you're running billion-dollar hedge funds, and you have all of this wealth and these connections to other powerful people. I think it's like, I wouldn't say it's like a primal sort of psychology of, we give authority to somebody that in society is doing better than us.
Yeah.
It's, I wish, what the thing the documentary doesn't do is break down. Like, I wish they brought on a psychanalyst or something.
Yeah, they said they had one, but it was just one of the prosecutors, like, having one evaluate him, but they never got into it.
Exactly. And that's where I felt kind of let down.
I feel you.
To bring it back into the series.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the psychology, because I'm big on leadership and stuff like that. With leadership is authority. Like, what in our nature gives us that okay to have that sort of authority,
Yeah.
And it doesn't break that down too much in the films.
I totally agree. We are talking about the Netflix special, Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. If you're enjoying what are y'all doing over there? What are you doing over there? If you're enjoying the podcast, all you got to do is just give us a follow, give us a like, share it with your friends. If you enjoy our conversation, thank you for listening. We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Let's go back.
Tweet us. Your opinions, your thoughts, whatever. So going further into the film, and he eventually collapses and he does get arrested, finally.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I wanted to get into, man. So let's break that down. Yeah, it was first like the Palm Beach. It was the Palm Beach police department, right? They were the first ones to kind of start an investigation.
They were only able to charge him on one count of solicitation for sex with a minor.
Right.
That was it. Even though they had all of that evidence, and these victims compiled their resources and hired a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that guy. That guy was like, he did all of the police work himself. And the police came up to him, was like, hey, do you have anything? He's like, oh yeah, I have this huge connection. I have these PIs following these certain people. And you could only get them on one count?
Oh, the police chief or whatever?
No,
or are you talking about the private investigator?
there were some private investigators. There was a PI that they interview a lot.
Yeah.
Was it 2 counts? I think one of soliciting sex with a minor, and then another one of
prostitution
or prostitution with a minor or something like that.
I guess 2 counts. I guess okay. And but like but they had like an outside lawyer who like tried to interview Epstein, and they showed the interview. And
I know what you're talking about. His name's like Edwards or something like that.
Yeah, it's some like super like, no offense, but it's some sort of like generic lawyer name.
Oh, and he had that like poster board with
he had a whole poster board showing a web of not just Epstein, but he had Maxwell on there, and he had like these recruiters, and then it broke down, and then he has like his victims, and he's like, yeah, we could have made like a 5 times larger poster board, and it already had like 40 names.
Like, at what point do you just stop the poster boarding? You're like, dude, this is just getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a poster board big enough for this thing, man.
Yeah. And then, so he gets arrested and he gets charged, but then they have that mega deal with the DA for Florida. And I never heard about this. And he gets off scot-free, and then his like circle can never be charged like ever again with this crazy deal that they made,
like the double jeopardy rule or whatever.
Yeah,
it's more than the double jeopardy. It's like they couldn't be charged for like a speeding ticket type thing too.
Like,
right.
Really?
Yeah, they got off on that weird. Yeah, you're right. You got
weird backdoor deal that only the DA had, because he had that crazy rich lawyer who won a lot of cases. I can't remember his name. He has a couple books out, though.
Alan Dershowitz, I think.
Yeah, Dershowitz.
He represents a lot of, and that's actually what I wanted to talk to about too. He represents like OJ and a whole bunch of prominent celebrities and stuff.
Every good defense lawyer has represented OJ.
I was about to say that.
Wasn't the Kardashian? Him too. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Epstein wanted Alan Dershowitz, but he wasn't in the jurisdiction of Florida, so he helped assemble a team of lawyers, which is, just speaks to his money and his power. But dude, like, how? And they actually accused him of contributing to the assault and stuff like that.
At the end, yeah.
Which was kind of,
his name is on the flight logs as well, but he claimed that he was only there for litigation, which, I mean,
fair enough. I mean, if they get some more proof on that, then I would that would be a solid case. But like how rough it is. Like, I would not be able to be a criminal defense lawyer, dude. I would not be able to do that job. He said that, you have to like separate yourself from, any sort of criticism, obviously. Yeah. But you're defending like horrible people.
Yeah.
I would not.
Well, I mean, more than often, you're defending horrible people. There are always those one-off situations where like the person is innocent of like murder or something.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I couldn't. I'm already an emotional person, so like I couldn't just sit there and defend this person who's been sex trafficking minors for one, without myself wanting to punch him in the throat.
Yeah, I think being a defense lawyer is interesting.
And it was like annoying because everything that they would say to like probe questions, the lawyer would come in, all right, like argumentative harassment. And it's like, it's like, okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
And I guess you don't have to have any like real emotion to just say that. Argumentative. Argumentative.
Like any sort of like, because it's like, I don't know, man. And
it was nothing like Law and Order,
It's nothing like Law and Order
between the lawyers and stuff, and then it was nothing like that.
Did you activate the code red?
Yeah.
You can handle the truth. That's not what real life is, right?
I could have sworn that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that the defense lawyer would even come on the documentary to talk.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a big mistake on his part.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it's it just makes him look it just makes the defense attorney look horrible because, like Chris said, they're defending these people. But I understand we need to have that in our justice system. Like you have to have fair and equal representation.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like kind of brave of him to get on, but you're right. It's like, dang, like he looks like the enemy, dude. Like he's defending the enemy. It's like, dang, how
it kind of reminds me of Gone Girl, the Tyler Perry's character.
Oh yeah,
lawyer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just my retainment's 100,000, but I'll win."
Yeah,
that's what Dershowitz kind of came off. It's like, I'll win, but it's going to cost you.
Not only that, but Dershowitz was also getting called out. Like he was also being accused of sexual assault as well.
Yeah,
like Virginia, one of the girls on there, had said that Dershowitz had sexual relations, and then he goes and he tries to deny it, and then he's like, I'm good friends with Epstein and all this nonsense. But I mean, you're defending Epstein almost seems like you're also trying to defend yourself. Like you're not, you're half worried about making sure Epstein is good. Yeah. But a majority, like in the back of your head, you're thinking, oh, if I don't win, then I'm screwed. Like Epstein will find a way, but I'm going to be screwed because then, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Definitely a conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like whenever she did that.
Well, he didn't get accused until after Epstein's death, though. That's
true.
He wasn't accused or anything like that during that particular deal. But then, so he gets off basically scot-free with this remarkable deal that basically gives everybody a jail out of free card, is what it was quoted.
Right.
And a bunch of other lawyers were like, yeah, this deal would never happen ever in the history of Lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was rough, dude. I did not understand that. I didn't even know.
I didn't understand the deal either. And they explained it to us, and I was just like, what?
I was still like just flabbergasted. I was like, they didn't even explain it to the defendants,
so
right?
He basically goes to jail for I think the term was like 11 months, but he does 8 months. But he can leave the jail at any time.
Well, he left every day.
Yeah, he left every day to go back to the house
for 12 hours.
And then he'd come back at 8 p.m. to report in or whatever. But the thing too is he had to go to a parole officer and all that stuff. And the Edwards lawyer hires a PI to follow him, and he counts 48 times alone that he violates his parole. And the parole officer,
probation. Yeah, it's probation. Yeah.
Yeah, and the parole officer doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so dumb, dude. And he got this privatized section of the jail too, like TV, open door, all the crazy.
He had access to the library that they had and stuff like that.
Access to women, I think they even said he could bring in whoever he wanted. Like, I don't know. As
and then and so that goes on, and now he's walking on eggshells. And then the Me Too movement forms a couple years later, because I think this happened in 2003-ish, maybe later.
Yeah, I think. You're right. That's when the first case was.
And so he's walking on eggshells, and it kind of just skips over to the Me Too movement. Talks about Harvey Weinstein's thing, that implication, and then it goes back to him, and he is flying from somewhere, I think from the island back to the U.S., and he gets arrested right at the airport by the FBI.
Right. The police chief for the Florida or the Palm Beach police department was like that. This case was so much BS. I'm gonna elevate this to the freaking FBI.
Yeah, and
he goes great. I thought that was a good move. That dude was awesome. That dude was trying, man.
Yeah.
He was trying.
Yeah, and so the first part where they had the 2 counts or whatever, and the FBI basically stopped working on it, but then it turned out they were working on it. That part confused me a lot.
Right.
I didn't understand it that much.
Yeah. They had the U.S. Attorney General in it, and then they could tell the police department about it, but then they couldn't tell the police department about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was more so because Epstein's hand was pretty much in everything at that point.
I think so too.
Like they had to keep it somewhat secret. Like they didn't want it to seem like they weren't doing anything. Like they were. So they obviously vocalized what they were doing in regards to like any other cases, but at the same time, while they were giving off that like they're working on other cases, they were also working on the Epstein case. So
yeah.
I mean, like at that point, it can seem like Big Brother is watching because Epstein was acting again. He threatened the police department. Like,
yeah, true.
So,
yeah, and he knew like several district attorneys. Like he knew the one in Florida. Like that's how he got his big deal. I'm pretty sure he knew the one in New York. But it's the New York Southern District, which is like the best DA like in the country, and like it has a really good reputation. Like they're the ones that bring up all these charges. They go out and arrest him, and it's like a complete shock to Epstein is what they make it seem like, and that like if Epstein knew that he was going to get arrested, like he wouldn't have come back. So they
had like a little escape plan thing. The first time he got raided at his island, or was it
he got raided at the
Florida home,
Beach, Florida house.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
But he wasn't there. I think he was gone. I think he was at the island.
He got tipped off there, bro. Like he took out like computers and everything. Like he got tipped off there. And then this one, you're right, that one was a surprise to him. And they ended up raiding his New York mansion thing.
Yeah, and they
pulled up a bunch of stuff, bro.
Yeah, like he had fake passports, he had diamonds and gold and stuff like that as like a resource to get out. And my thing is, if you have a bunch of gold and diamonds, you're not going to go to the grocery store and pay for things in gold and diamonds.
Yeah,
it's stupid. Anyways,
it's like the universal. There's like a universal
back on hard currencies. What it
is. Right. But, and then you build up from there, type of thing. Whatever, wherever he goes. But he didn't get to. Like they surprised the crap out of him.
It's crazy.
And he had like thousands of photos, like supposedly like hundreds or thousands of photos of like these victims.
The that, like watching some of this stuff, and that I realize is that these predators always have a blacklist of other like it keeps themselves in check almost, as like you get caught or rat me out, I'm gonna get caught and rat you out too, and it's like that. And he had that in his mansion on top of all of these perverse photos and videos of everybody that was ever there.
Yeah, like and every room had a little hidden camera.
It was almost like a self-destruct. Like if he got if he got caught, everybody else is going down with him. Like he's not going to be the only one.
Well, it's like I don't know if he would take everyone down with him, but if someone were to try to take him down, I think he would be very defensive.
That's better. That's better.
Like that's where I'm like, I think he has an obligation to protect the people that he worked with. Let's just say he worked with some, obviously
Ghislaine Maxwell, for example.
Yes. Like he could have implicated her, like from the get go. And there's some investigation into. Yeah, exactly. There's some investigation going into her too. That she's denied anything, but it's hard to believe her at this point.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I'm like, I think that he has an obligation to, because he works so closely, and he of course he wanted to fall back onto somebody. He wants some allies somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know if he would self-destruct. I think he would definitely defend himself if somebody came out, and he'd be like, "Oh no. Like he's been doing this with everybody, the police department, all of these other people that he knew. Like, I know where you live. Like, don't do this. I know who you're with. Like, I can really mess up your life."
Yeah, I definitely would see that for sure. Yeah. And I'm glad that they show the trial, because I don't remember like the first part of the trial or anything like that, like at all. Like I remember it being a big thing that he was arrested, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so they go through the trial, and then he gets denied bail, and that's when they find out that he had all of these, like the escape plan and all that stuff, like all these fake passports and resources, and then they find the computer servers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to like the truly like the most interesting part of the series for me, because I'm one of them people. He gets put into like this really bad jail cell, and it's like at like a really underfunded prison, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it's been reported and the way that they make it seem is that he always had a guard on him. Like there was always a guard at his cell every hour during the day.
Suicide watch. That was the thing.
Oh yeah. Because first he did try to kill himself at first.
Yeah.
Then he went on suicide watch. Then that's when a guard was supposed to be stationed there. And typically with suicide watches, the guards are usually pretty good about staying near that cell or in that vicinity so they can make sure it doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the one time this guard or the guard that was there is gone, he's given enough time to, do his thing.
Yeah. I think they said two guards were like asleep. Like
two guards
not
were
even
asleep.
near the cell at all.
The camera that was monitoring his room was the only camera that wasn't working.
Yeah. It was just a piece of crap, like federal prison, and the people that were working there were not the best.
I think some of them ended up getting let go, I believe.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to, man. You got to. You got one job, like literally. You got one job, bro.
You got one job. Keep them alive.
Keep them.
Okay, boss.
Okay, boss. I got it, boss.
But I think there's this conspiracy theory, and I think Elijah's heard it too, is that Epstein did not actually kill himself. There is rumor has it that this was from one of the things that I heard is rumor has it that this was a bigger way to kind of more so shut Epstein up, so other big time politicians, celebrities don't get caught up in this drama that affects them, because there are some big people that Donald Trump they were friends. Epstein and him were really good friends. You know. What was it? Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew.
And then
Bill Clinton,
who took helicopter rides to the island. Yeah. Kevin Spacey was one of the big names. Yeah, it's just all of these big people that would, like, once you open up Epstein's case, you break it down and you're like, well, let's look into these people. What were they doing?
Because this is going to cause a chain effect.
Oh, exactly. It's the way that's falling is what it is.
And the way that they're going to stop this from happening is getting rid of the source.
Yeah. And then the FBI goes to they basically go and like raid the island, but then they find out that the computer servers and all the stuff on the island, they're all up in flames. But how is it up in flames? There's no one on the island. It's all crazy. And then they get an independent autopsy of Jeffrey Epstein. And the guy who did the autopsy comes on the show and just flat out says, there's a part of his neck that snapped, but it would require such force for it to snap in the way that it did, that an outside force had to be applied to it.
Yep.
It wasn't just from him and his toilet paper and his clothes.
Yeah, it was like a bed sheet and his clothes or something. And
I think he hung himself.
He had a pill bottle or something.
So they were saying the force from him hanging himself was not enough for that portion of his neck to snap. It was enough to suffocate him, but not enough to snap. And so that's where
people how they showed it, because the autopsy guy was holding a bone, but he wasn't using gloves or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was like his jaw was broken. Like that's
something like that. Yeah.
It's like his jawbone was fractured right here. That was like what I saw on the alternate autopsy report. And I was like, I mean, fractured, whatever, can't. Maybe they dropped the body on accident or something. I don't know.
I mean, oddly enough,
that's not gonna kill you if you got a fracture, but there's a lot of questions.
All really fishy. Yeah. And Alex Jones, as much of a lunatic he was or is, he's not dead yet. He was saying there's a huge pedo ring amongst the top and the elites with the frog people, and he was right about this one.
Is he right about the frog people?
He might be right about the frog people.
He's one step close to it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I haven't seen any frog people yet, so
thank goodness.
I'm gonna hold off on that one.
Leave, Chris.
I'm on the fence, dude. Like a part of me takes in the evidence and is like, he did attempt, like they said he attempted once. Like, I mean, there's and then I go back to, is he self-destructive? Is he going to destroy everyone else with him type of way? But I feel like his personality doesn't warrant that kind of, as the narcissistic personality type of thing. I feel like I feel like that's not his
going back to the
way.
beginning where him and that guy were doing that Ponzi scheme. It was Epstein that got real defensive, so you could definitely see that as part of his character.
Yeah, I think that was more Wexner though, trying to, or like calling him out on stuff. It's different whenever like people you have like that are on your side. Like I don't think, I agree with Daniel in the sense that like I don't think he would actively just self-destruct it and go. Like I know he'll take care of the people that he has, but the way that he is thinking, his mentality is like he's always gonna think that there is a very good chance that I'm gonna get off and I'll be fine. So I can't take these people down, because if I do, then they'll come after me when I'm out. Like it's better to have them with me if I get out rather than against me if I get out.
And then there's the fact like he transferred his estate to like his brother or something. Like it is entire wealth and everything, like right before he committed suicide. Like
it was 2 days before, and it basically makes it really. He structured it to where it's really, really hard if his estate lost to get reparations.
Okay.
Like to pull reparations from. That's basically what he dissimulated the money.
Yeah. And I'm like, like I look into it and I'm like, I mean, and then like the dude didn't have anything that this dude is like one of the most garbage people. Like he doesn't have, like he has like one of the worst lives ever, like he has the money, he has all this stuff, but he doesn't have like actual meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have like the real stuff to live for. So I'd perfectly like whenever you're that kind of way and you're like, gonna be sentenced for whatever the rest of your life in prison. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that he doesn't have he doesn't have that purpose anymore. It's like, might as well just off. Like, I don't know. But then you're right. There are like so many freaking questions, and I'm just like,
because I questioned the personality if he was suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing, because he never, like a true narcissist and someone that gets enveloped in power wouldn't just kill themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have anything other than that, like if your whole life is manipulation, wealth, anything you want, manipulating people and completely controlling the situation and not anything else, not love, not family, not like religion or anything like that, and you get put into prison and you're going to be there for the rest of your life, that's absolutely something that's out of your control. They made a big emphasis on that in the documentary, that he's a control freak. Like if he's not controlling the situation, he would take off his mic and get out and whatever. And I feel like he's the type of personality where he got put in the ultimate position where he's out of control. Like he's completely not in control of the situation. He's in prison for the rest of his life. He's not going to have the awesome, setup he did before. He's in a federal prison where, all of these horrible people end up, like all the worst criminals of the world end up and stuff. It's not the best place to be, but, and he doesn't have anything to live for. He doesn't have family. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have, moral compass. Like, might as well just end it. Like he doesn't, in my eyes, I'm trying to empathize with it. Like I'm trying to like get into his head about it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, no, I mean, I wouldn't put him past him to just take control of the situation, like literally, and like just off himself. Like
I don't think I didn't see it like that. That's an interesting thought though. Yeah. I mean, he did want to make sure that he was always in control. And like you said, whenever he wasn't in control with the interviews, he took off the mic and went. And like, if he's not in control of his situation while he's in jail, like he goes into that whole fight or flight sort of situation to where like, I'm not in control. I need to go.
Yeah.
And the only escape for him that he saw was suicide. Yeah. And so I kind of see where you're coming from. I don't necessarily have as much sympathy about it.
Oh no, I'm not sympathizing with him at all. Sympathy. I was empathizing. I was trying to empathize and feel what he might have been feeling, like just to get in that mindset. I definitely don't sympathize with him at all.
Yeah.
I think because he still had the wealth and management to still hire the best legal team for defense that money could offer. So he probably did see the writing on the wall. Like, I don't think he would have won because, again, like he killed himself before he even goes to trial. Like he kills himself during the bonding process.
Which I learned that pretty recently. I thought he had already. No. I thought
this thing never went to trial. That's the thing. And so I think that he would have. I think that he still could have managed a really the Alan Dershowitzes and the Kardashian lawyers of the.
Well, I think they were saying like the district attorney or whoever orchestrated the suit and everything. He said that at least like one count. I think if they were to actually accept the count or whatever or prove him guilty, one count would be like 35 years, and that would be essentially a life term because of how old he was,
like in the 60s,
and it was like a high probability that was. I mean, he had multiple things accused on him. So it was just like, all right, one out of whatever, like all we need is one. And you're done, dude.
Yeah.
So he had rough chances. I mean,
I think he had rough chances too.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was seeing the writing on the wall, but, so
do y'all said that, what's her name? Virginia, that girl, dude, that girl made me upset too, dude. I didn't like. She said
the one that went to Australia.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
like
that ran away to Australia.
Okay, so she said she was abused by Epstein, the Prince, even Alan Dershowitz. Yeah. And this girl took they asked her to have the baby, right? And she was like, "All right, well, at least let me get my art." Was it? No,
it was her
masseuse, like actual masseuse license,
therapy license.
And so she goes to Thailand and she meets a guy, and it's like fairy tale love story, and it's great, like awesome. And then she just like ups and moves to Australia, and I'm like, okay, good for her. What about all the other people that are being abused, dude? Like,
well,
you don't just get to like run away to Australia and leave.
Well, she didn't just run away though. That's when she ran away from him. And from Epstein, and that like she's the first person that brought up all of these charges.
Well,
like she made that resolution to go and fight.
It said that she like spent time there, and she had a kid, and then she like was just talking to her husband, like, "Okay, we have to do this." And I was like, "Dude, how much time does it like?"
Well, I mean I
don't know how much time elapsed from there. I didn't look into that, but I'm like, how are you gonna like just go and at least move to Australia, like get with your dude and like start a game plan and start doing it? They acted like she went there and escaped and had a kid and had a life, and then was like, all right, we really had to do this now.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, the thing is
now, dude.
You're right. She did go and start a life and everything in Australia, but I don't think that took away from like her actually formulating this plan either. I do think that during the process of her running away to Australia and being where she is now, in that time before she had reported this, she was coming up and kind of devising a plan. Also, it just kind of depends on the person. I think that's more of a personal thing when it comes to like elapsed time on how long you should go, like the statute of limitations on telling this sort of thing. Like it just kind of depends on the person internally. But I think it's warranted that she gets some time to like recollect herself. She was
no, I mean, I'm happy for her for sure, but I
30,
was like
30 times.
That was me. I'd be like, all right, let's go, like now. Like I'm escaped. There are people being abused. Like there are people that need to come out and like I don't know. The way the documentary made it seem, it was across like a few episodes. I think it was like the last like 2 episodes. And she had like moved to Australia, and it's like, yeah, we had a kid, and I'm like, dang, okay, well, that's at least 9 months. Like, all right, like y'all plan that out, and y'all having a good time, and then she's like talking to her husband on the next episode, and now we should really like figure this out. I'm like, okay, how long did that take? Like, I don't know. I think that's
I don't
know how long it took.
I think that's more so like the issue with the documentary itself is it makes everything seem like it took forever.
Again, it's like that timeline that they have with all 4 episodes that it jumps back and forth.
Right,
it gets convoluted, and you don't like that was my big issue with it. And I was talking to Val about it, and she was like, "Yeah, like it's kind of hard.
It's hard
to piece everything together."
Yeah,
because of the way they stagnate things.
Yeah,
like in the first episode, they talk about the '90s and the art girl and her sister, and then it jumps to the West Palm Beach stuff, like just happening, and you're like, wait, how did he get there? What happened? There's a 20-year gap. And you have to piece that yourself. You have to piece that together yourself. So
all in 4 hours, and you're like, 4 hours is too long. This guy needs to be behind bars already. It's been 4 hours. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's but so like overall thoughts of the documentary. Did y'all know it was produced by James Patterson?
I
learned that.
That's a joke, right? He like made an appearance and everything too.
Yeah,
he was like,
he's the executive producer for the documentary, and then he
like
shows
next
up
door, right? He lived like next door.
He was next door to him.
It's like, bro,
I was like, James Patterson, you really that rich?
Like, bro, just like you're the dude who writes all these like criminal novels. Like, just get some binoculars, bro. And, like, solve the damn case, bro.
You're right there.
You're right there. You're right next door, dude.
No, every time he walks out to get the newspaper, he sees Epstein just there.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
like out in the lawn, like you're.
Come on, bro. He's written all the crazy. Anyways, so at the end of the thing, there's a lot of alluding to. There are so many other participants. Like there are so many other things or like people that need to like be taken down for this.
Dude,
like,
we didn't even
part of it.
We didn't even mention Keelan Maxwell, how garbage she was.
Yeah.
Well, it's the reason why she's arrested was for all the same stuff, and because she's still alive. Like that's how we're getting stuff like the flight logs and the computer servers that are left.
Yeah,
like that's how we're getting all of this information is from her.
Yeah,
it's not from Epstein.
Yeah, and so the thing is,
that's why she's about to kill herself too.
I'm like, that made me kind of weird when they were like, okay, like it was a whole segment at the end. Like, okay, there are so many other players in this game and we need to take them down. Like they were all involved and all these people were involved. And I'm like, who, do you like if these women were involved in stuff and they know who was involved, like they said the prince, they said Alan Dershowitz, they said, they said Jeffrey Epstein and this lady, Maxwell, those are the ones that they actually say on air and stuff. And I'm like, okay, all these other, I'm like, that almost seems like a speculation to me too. I'm like,
well, I think it's because it was made.
You just say who it was if you know who it was.
I think it's because it was made before all of these documents were unsealed and released to the public.
Yeah,
so they couldn't just go out there start saying people because then they're going to get sued. They're going to get sued for slander. Yeah. Which Alan Dershowitz is suing for slander.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. He's not only suing Virginia for slander, but he's also suing, I think, Netflix itself for slander. And
if you got names, I guess don't release it to the on the Netflix special, but if you haven't gone and reported it, like names, like give them all the names that.
It made it seem kind of weird how it ended.
They could put at the end, like, Virginia has provided names to the whatever,
Well, it kind of does, but it just says that Virginia and Alan Dershowitz are suing each other, and then Alan Dershowitz is getting charged with these similar counts. And that's basically all it really says.
Yeah, it keeps it very basic because obviously it can't really give out too much information without it seeming like,
unless James Patterson knows these people.
Yeah.
I'm ready to know who it is. Like I don't want to speculate on like there's this whole organization and stuff like that of people that are doing this. Like I was like, okay, like let's go then. Like make sure you're telling people, guys. Like don't be like you were before. Tell some people, report it. Like let's get these people behind bars.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the flight logs being unsealed is a big one. I think as time goes on and Maxwell isn't killing herself, or some outside forces acted upon her neck in a suspicious way. Like we're gonna learn these things. But
I hope so, dude.
I hope so too.
Let's go into like overall opinion about what we all think.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was good. I do. I think that the way it's structured in the timelines is makes it confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I definitely recommend it. I think people should watch it. It's a really hard subject to get through.
Yeah.
And we've kind of, we're doing good about not just blatantly stating all of it, but definitely go check it out. It's a bit on the psyche, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. I was ticked off the whole time.
Yeah, like you're gonna get triggered by this, but it's definitely something you should watch. So I'll probably give it like,
how many snow globes, dude?
I'm thinking 6 out of 7.
All right, is 7 the standard on the snow globes, or is it 13?
No, it's always going to be a percentage.
Oh,
okay. Well, wait, no, didn't you say like 2 out of 6 on the last topic?
Yeah, he said
it changes. The max changes.
Yeah, he said 1 out of 13, 2 out of 6.
10 out of 13 is really good.
I'll give it like 7 out of 13 snow globes that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
Ooh, a little over 50%.
No, I think it was a good documentary. It was weird with the time jumps and stuff like that, but I think it was kind of appropriate, like going back into the histories of people, and they brought it home in the end, everything.
Yeah, like I think
came together.
It could have been structured better. I think they could have reached out to more people to interview, but I'm pretty sure they have a bunch of stock footage from interviews that they didn't use.
Yeah, the one thing I took away was that it wasn't just like a Jeffrey Epstein story. It was like people. It was greed is absolutely horrible. It's it's one of the 7 deadly sins or whatever.
It is,
and it is completely rampant in this documentary. People were taking money and turning the other cheek, and it just takes people to realize what they're doing. Like, just be truthful to yourself. Don't be greedy. Stand up for people. And if we can all do, like, all of these people didn't make that decision. Like, a lot of people didn't make that decision. And that's absolutely disheartening for me, because I believe, I believe like we're inherently like bad and good, but I think that we're like more good than evil, most of the time. And I think that like people should they should stand up for what's right. Got to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
And and there's so many bad people in here. So we just got to be better. We just got to be better people, man. Yeah, that's what I got from this thing. I was like, we just got to be better people, man.
Power and greed are 2 of the biggest evils right now in the world.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention is that I liked how it's kind of glanced over, but there was like one dude who was like giving a tour of the Virgin Islands and things like that. And he's like, a lot of wealthy people live here. Jeffrey Epstein doesn't represent like how all of them are, type of thing, And I was like, all right, I appreciate that. Like being wealthy ain't bad. It's the stuff you do, with it, type of thing. The manipulative stuff you do. Everybody needs to get their own. Everybody needs to be like super rich. Everybody needs to get the most money they can. but it's when you're evil about it and you're manipulative. That's the bad stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll probably give it a 4 out of 5 on the
Snow Globe step.
Nice.
The only thing that really turned me off was the timeline as well, just because it was so convoluted and like hard to follow. But other than that, dude, the information was informative. It was intense, and it did make me sit with like this uncomfortable feeling in my gut. But it's kind of one of those like uncomforts you need to go through. It's like you got to do something difficult in order to learn. You know, I had to watch this difficult documentary, and I learned so much about the survivors and how much Epstein did really get away with. So it was I thought it was a great documentary.
GG, dude. All right, well, cool. Thanks for listening along with that. It's a long one. It's a long episode. Yeah. I mean, it was a long documentary. It's a lot
to unpack and go through.
Man. Well, we hope you enjoy that. We are going to get into some rants and recommendations, though. Go ahead and start us off, Elijah.
You know, guys,
he had to unwind before he's doing this one. Dang.
Hey, hold on. I got to turn down my headphones real quick.
All right.
My rant is against naps.
Naps?
Yeah.
Like taking naps? Like sleeping? Like eyes closed?
Yeah.
Like dreamlandish?
Yeah.
Interesting. Continue.
Wow.
Because I love naps. But it's always a gamble. Is it an hour? Is it 8 hours? Is it tomorrow? Who knows?
It should be 30 minutes. 15
It should be 30 minutes.
It
never turns out to be 30 minutes for me.
I know.
And I don't know. I hate naps, but I love them. It's a love-hate relationship right now with them.
What do you hate about them that like the time just goes by and you've lost?
It's that time goes by, and I feel like I've wasted myself. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's Elijah took a nap yesterday at like 6 p.m. and then woke up today. That's why he's ranting about it, because it just happened to him. It's so new to him.
Yeah. Well, what happened was yesterday. Odin was really chill, so he was taking a nap, and I was like, dude, sounds good. And I was gonna take a nap from 12:30 to 1, or 12:30 to 1:15, and then I was gonna get up, take him out, and then go to the gym. Because I always go to the gym at 2. I swear I just closed my eyes and then it was 2:15. And Odin is like trying to get on the couch, like, dude, wake up. So, yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Dang, bro. Well, I'm so sorry. You need more sleep, bro.
But
in like a good way. My rant actually rhymes with yours. It's called WAP.
Oh god,
naps and WAPs, dude.
What's a WAP?
So
we're not saying it. We're not saying what it stands for. We're not.
You really don't want to know what WAP is, everyone. It's a new song by Cardi B, and it's absolutely trash. In my humble opinion, it stands for wet, a word, p word.
Nice.
And it is absolutely empowering to women, and it's women power all over the place.
Shout out.
I just think that I can't, dude. I can't even with these songs, bro. I miss like the like girl rock, like Joan Jett, and like that's like
Elliott,
cool
to a degree.
Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything is wrong with this WAP thing, dude. I hate it. The lyrics are horrible. The message is horrible.
Dude, I love Cardi B though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Cardi B is like, oh,
I love Cardi B,
dude. She'll drug you and rob you, Chris. Don't say that.
She will.
If you're rich.
If
you have $20,
if Cardi B is your role model, man, I got something. I got something to say about that. You need a different role model in your life. As someone who doesn't make weird noises and can speak English and doesn't write trash music, dude. That's my rant, bro. Dang, I'm triggered now.
Nap and whap. Nap and whap.
Naps are better than whaps, that's for sure.
So my rant is going to be streaming services, which kind of alludes to our next episode. But there is a fight today, and the way the fight is they have preliminaries, then they have the undercard, and then they have the main card.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to do a favor for my brother because he's been working 12-hour days, 7 days a week.
Cray.
And so I was going to get ESPN Plus, thinking that the main card fight was going to be on ESPN Plus.
Uh-huh.
It is not. I have to get one streaming service for the preliminaries, a different streaming service for the undercard, and a different streaming service or a pay-per-view for the main card. I have to buy 3 separate packages to watch people just beat the crap out of each other when I could just go to a Popeyes that's out of stock. Like, why the hell
Calling them out,
do I have to buy 3 different streaming services?
I just had Popeyes yesterday too.
I want to watch Sean O'Malley fight. This kid is going to be the big time for bantamweight, which is crazy. He's going to be bigger than Conor McGregor. And I can't watch him because I have to buy 3. I'm going bankrupt buying 3 different streaming services and then a pay-per-view. Like, this is nonsense. And it goes even into like soccer. I can't even I'm going sent to dude, streaming services, y'all suck sometimes.
Dang.
I mean, I'm not I hate you guys anyways. Like, it sucks because I'll probably still buy it. But like,
no, I'm completely with you. I hate it. I hate my ESPN Plus right now because I hate everything about it.
Stay tuned for our next week's episode where we're actually gonna do that. We're gonna talk about the stream wars that are occurring in our life now.
Yeah, but it sucks, dude. I hate it. I was so pissed, dude. And then I told my brother, and I was like, dude, I was trying to buy these fights so we can watch them. And he was like, oh yeah, I could have told you it was hell. So I'm never doing anything nice again. Is what that comes down to.
All right, well, Chris got tilted, bro.
Yeah, that's the most triggered I've ever seen, Chris.
Yeah, exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying. All right, Elijah, hit us up with some recommendations, man.
All right. My recommendation is a software called Magic the Gathering Arena. It is a free-to-play Magic service. And by free-to-play, I mean like it's free, but you got to grind to get stuff.
You got to grind, bro.
But they released a bunch of new cards and stuff like that from older previous sets. And it's made a particular format called Historic like a lot of fun. And Magic was going through some really rough times lately. Like the meta for these deck types were getting up to like 70%. So you're just playing the same deck, and it's like this horrible non-interactive thing. It's disgusting. It's what Magic is today. It's horrible. But they did really well, and they banned certain cards, and they made these formats playable again, and it's breathed a little bit of fresh air into Magic, and I highly encourage people to go check out. If you like card games, if you like hobbies, like strategy stuff, go in there. It's free to play, and you're gonna have a good time. It's been fixed. For now.
Until it ends up on next week's rant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool, man. My recommendations are to Emily and Jay. Emily made me and Jay a delicious cake, and it was awesome. There's Jay right there. Oh, over there. And
he just casually walks out.
Yeah. And she got me a workout bench, dude. It was crazy. And it's a great workout bench. I was trying to get Elijah's workout bench, but he took it on with him to Louisiana.
I did.
And I just like not expecting it at all. And it's really awesome. I'm gonna get swole.
I'm gonna get swole.
It's great. And then
toned.
Yeah, I'm gonna get quarantoned, if you know what I'm saying. And then
Daniel's gonna have to walk through doors sideways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna fill up the whole screen. Hopefully someday soon. Like, the bumping the mic and stuff. Jay got me a Switch, dude. He got me a Nintendo Switch, dude, which is a crazy gift, dude. Shout out to Jay, obviously.
Shout out.
Jay,
Friend of the show.
Jay and Emily, man. They really came through. They're the best.
Dude, and the Switch, easily one of the best game consoles.
I mean, I get to play Smash Bros, dude. I mean, I'm trying to be a pro Smash player one day. So. All right, Chris, what you got, man?
All right, so my recommendation, I'm back with another podcast that I listen to. I've been listening to some other podcasts that give us shout outs and stuff on Twitter. This one is called Off the Record. So it's 4 guys, and they have topics that are typically reserved to like barbershops or like the man caves. Sometimes, often when you think about it, they're usually vulgar conversations and things like that. But no, these guys talk about legitimate, the thought experiments that they have or that we have, they talk about those type of things. And their last episode, half of it was actually about WAP. They talked about their opinion about the song, but their show is like how people were coming at how bad that song is compared to like some of the music videos back then were pretty graphic as well. So, but they kind of like gave their opinion on the song as well. But they also posed this great question: is that who comes first in your life? So the second half of the conversation is they're breaking it down to where it's your children, your spouse, or your mom. Who comes first, and ranking, not necessarily ranking them, but kind of in the order of which they believe. Each individual person has their own opinion, but which individual order they believe is most important. And it was a cool topic because they all had different answers, and it was really cool it was awesome to hear like their reasoning behind it, and they all just kind of accepted everybody's response. So I would say
that's an interesting experiment there. Yeah.
Dude, some of these other podcasts, they have great questions. And this is one of the podcasts that I definitely recommend. So please go check them out. They're awesome. They're great dudes. They're pretty funny too. So, all right. So that's been another episode of the Thought Arcade. We are so grateful that you are here listening and or watching, because we're on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
If you didn't already know, we're on YouTube. So next week we are actually, like we said, we're going to talk about the streaming wars. There's much more going on with the streaming wars. I am still pissed at UFC Fight Pass, but I'll talk about it more there. So definitely stay tuned for that. But this has been another episode of Thought Arcade. Thanks guys for listening.
Bye.